Alright, so in this video we're going to be doing a quote-unquote let's play of VimTutor. So VimTutor is a program that we can run that will help you to get used to how Vim works, how to move around, and more or less just how to be basically proficient in Vim. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be popping that program open together and working through it. And I encourage you, while I'm doing this, to also follow along with me while I'm doing this, so that way you can play along and learn by doing, because you can watch me do this and that might be somewhat effective, but it's going to be much more effective for you to actually follow along and do these commands yourself. So please do that if you can. So what I'm going to do here is I'm in the command line and I'm just in this directory. Right now there's nothing there. Another thing that you'll notice is I have a program called Screen Key, which is enabled, which the keys that I'm going to be pressing on the keyboard will show up on the bottom part of the screen, because it might be somewhat helpful as we're going through Vim and seeing these commands. You know exactly what keys I'm pressing, so that will be useful for you, hopefully. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in the following command, VimTutor, all one word. And this is, of course, assuming that you have Vim installed. So if you don't have Vim installed, before you do that, I would recommend that you do sudo apt-get install Vim. If you run this command, that will install all of the good stuff, and that's all you should need to get going. I already have Vim installed, so I'm not going to run that. So I'm just going to go back to what I had before and run VimTutor. So if you do that, you're presented with this, which is just the tutor itself. This is what we'll be let's playing. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy the contents of this VimTutor program to a text file, and then we're going to go through that text file together. One of the main reasons for this is because throughout this tutor, we're going to be making amendments and changes to this file. And it's just better to have the file saved, so if you want to look at it later, it'll be there. And also this tutor requires us to exit at certain points and to get back in, so it's a little more fluid for us to just edit one text file and just to kind of stay within that text file. So I'm actually going to type in :Q to quit out of this thing. Or actually, before I do that, I'm going to hit :W to save this as a text file. So :W, we'll learn what that means later in the tutorial. And then I'm going to put in the name of the file that I want to save this VimTutor content to. So basically :W is write the file. So I want to write the contents of this VimTutor file to, let's say, vim_tutor_youtube.txt. So I'm going to do that. You'll see that this says vimtutor_youtube.txt written, and that means that we have this whole content saved as a text file. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quit out of VimTutor and open this content up in the text file that we just created. So to quit out of Vim, this is probably one of the most Googled things for Vim, is how to quit out of Vim. You hit Shift, semicolon, or colon, and then Q for quit. You hit Enter, you're out of there. So if we do an ls, we'll see that what we just did created this text file, VimTutor YouTube, and we're going to open up this text file in Vim. So to open up a text file in Vim, you precede that with the word Vim, and then the name of the text file that you want to open, which in this case is vimtutor_youtube.txt. So I'm just going to hit Enter, and then we're presented with the same content that we just saw, only now we're actually in Vim editing. So let me read through this with you, and we'll go through this together. So welcome to the VimTutor. Vim is a very powerful editor. It's many commands, too many to explain in a tutor such as this. This tutor is designed to describe enough of the commands that you will be able to easily use Vim as an all-purpose editor. The approximate time required to complete the tutor is 25 to 30 minutes, depending upon how much time is spent with experimentation. So just pause from reading. Basically, this will most likely take more than that time, just because we'll be going over this rather slowly so that we can get the concepts down, and it's the first time you're seeing this, so it might take you a little bit longer to play around with some of these. So I would encourage you, as we're doing this, to really play around with some of these motions, just so it gets in your head, especially if this is the first time you're playing around with Vim. It's really helpful to kind of build that muscle memory. Okay, so getting back to reading, attention, the commands in this lesson will modify the text, make a copy of this file to practice on. If you start a VimTutor, this is already a copy. So we did that. We created a text file based on the contents of VimTutor. It's important to remember that this is a tutor set up to teach by use. That means that you need to execute the commands to learn them properly. If you only read the text, you will forget the commands. Now make sure that your Shift lock key is not depressed, and press the J key enough times to move the cursor so that lesson 1.1 completely fills the screen. So basically just kind of a reiteration of what I said. Please do follow along with me so that way you can actually build the muscle memory necessary for being proficient at Vim. And then the last paragraph is hitting the J key enough times to make lesson 1.1 visible. So let's do that. So you'll see that I'm pressing the J key, and as I do so, the cursor on the left side is moving down. So I'm going to continually move down, get lesson 1.1 in the screen, and there it is. All right, so it says to move the cursor, press HJKL keys as indicated. So the hint is the H key is at the left, it moves left. L is at the right, it moves right. The J kind of looks like a down arrow, and I guess the K key is the other one. So basically, each of these little lessons will have numbers, numbered bulleted lists. And each of those things is going to be something that we do as part of the lesson. So 1, it says move the cursor around the screen until you feel comfortable. So, we'll move it like this, up and down, left and right. So I'm just kind of moving up and down, left and right, just kind of all over the place. So that was fun. So number 2, hold down the J key until it repeats. Now you know how to move to the next lesson. So again, holding down the J key until it repeats, just doing that, going back up here. Using the down key, move to lesson 1.2. So you can also use the arrow keys, up, down, left, and right. See, I'm pressing those arrow keys. They have the same effect as H, J, K, and L. The one thing for Vim, generally the reason that Vim is, I guess, effective is your hands are kind of on the home row. So your right hand is kind of hovering around the HJKL location, and that just makes it very easy to move around in the editor. If you're constantly moving towards the arrow keys, which are a little bit out of the way, then it's a little bit less efficient to move around. So if you have kind of everything within, kind of a finger width of where you need to be, it's a lot more efficient to entering commands in a much more efficient and practical, pragmatic way. Right, so let's move the down key to lesson 1.2. All right, so let's keep going. So lesson 1.2, exiting Vim. So before we do any of these steps, we're going to read the whole lesson as it says in this note. So it says press the escape key to make sure you're in normal mode, whatever that means. Type :Q enter, and this will exit the editor, and this will discard any changes that you've made. So if the exclamation point in this case says, if I have made any changes, don't save them. The Q is quit, and the colon we've seen before when we created this text file, it's to change the mode. Well, there'll be more on the modes. Vim is a modal editor, so there'll be more on that later. So number 3, get back here by executing the command that got you into this tutor. That might be, VimTutor, whatever. In our case, it's going to be vim space the name of the file. 4, if you have these steps memorized and are confident, execute the steps 1, 2, 3 and exit and re-enter the editor. So let's go ahead and try that. So let's follow step 1. We hit the escape key. That'll just get us right into normal mode. If we hit the colon key, which is shift, semicolon, Q, and exclamation point, and if we hit enter, that's going to take us back to the terminal. So we quit out of Vim, we didn't save any of our changes, and we can just get back into Vim. I just hit the up arrow key by running Vim on this text file that we created, and we're presented right back at the top. Let's hit the J key to move down back to lesson 1.2. So that's pretty much the end of lesson 1.2 right there, and then it says move it down to 1.3. So let's keep moving down. Okay, lesson 1.3, text editing deletion. So it says press X to delete the character under the cursor. So step 1 is move the cursor to the line below marked with the arrow. So let's do that. So let's move it up. You see the cursor is moving up, and it's right there at that line. So step 2, to fix the errors, move the cursor until it's on top of the character to be deleted. 3 is press the X key to delete the unwanted character. 4 is repeat steps 2 through 4 until the sentence is correct. Okay, so the sentence is kind of the cow jumped over the moon, but there's some extra letters there, right? So let's move over with the L key until we get to the first letter that we want to get rid of. So there's 2 C's here. Let's get rid of the second C. So I'm going to hover the cursor over that one, hit X. Likewise, if I keep moving through the sentence, there's 2 D's here, so I'm going to get rid of one of those. Keep going over. Oh, I missed one, so I'm going to go back. Let me go back here. There's a V. Get rid of that V. Keep moving over. There's 2 R's, 2 H's, and 2 O's. So now the sentence looks pretty good. So step 5 is now that the line is correct, go to lesson 1.4. And as you go through this tutor, do not try to memorize, learn by usage. Just reiterating here, I hope you're following along with me as you're watching this video. So that will help you actually internalize a lot of these motions. So let's go on to the next lesson. So pressing J here. All right, lesson 1.4, text editing, insertion. So press I to insert text. So step 1 is move the cursor to the first line below marked with the arrow. So let's do that. So this is the first line marked with the arrow. To make the first line the same as the second, move the cursor on top of the first character after where the text is supposed to be inserted. Step 3 is press I and then type in the necessary additions. And 4, as each error is fixed, press escape to return to normal mode. Repeat steps 2 through 4 to correct the sentence. Okay, so let's go all the way to the left of this sentence here. And it looks like the first sentence is there is text missing this. And the second one is there is some text missing from this line. So we want to replicate the second line into the first one by inserting the necessary missing letters. So there looks good, is looks good. And here, what we want to do is we want to insert here. So I'm going to move it right on the letter that I want to insert into, basically right after it, as it says in step 2, right after where the text is to be inserted. Press I, and then I need to type in some space, and then I'm going to hit escape to get back to normal mode. So we're back in normal mode, so I can move the cursor to the right. So some text missing. Oh, okay, so missing is misspelled. So here I'm going to insert it right in the end because it's right after it needs to be inserted. I need to put an S right before it. So I'll hit I, S, and then if I want to go back, there's a few things I can do here. I could use the arrow keys. Using the arrow keys is discouraged in Vim, again, because it's kind of antithetical to the whole productivity of keeping your hands on the home row. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit escape to put myself back into normal mode. And then I'm going to hit I again and then hit I to insert that I. Press escape. I didn't really need to do that whole maneuver there. I don't know why I did that. But it's just, yeah, you know, something I missed there. Missing. Right, okay, so what am I doing? Missing. So we're going to keep going, and it looks like missing from this line. We have this up there, so I'm going to insert here, type in from space. It looks like that's all good, so I'm going to hit escape to go back into normal mode, keep going, and then hit an I on the period. Type in line. Oh, it's actually line instead of lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hover over that S that I inserted, and then I'm going to hit X. That's going to get rid of that character that I didn't mean to insert there. Okay, so I'm going to hit escape to get back into normal mode, and the lines are looking pretty similar, so that's good. So step 5 is when you're comfortable inserting text, move on to lesson 1.5. Okay, so I think we're pretty comfortable with that. I encourage you to continue to play around with that. You know, feel free to mess up this text file. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing that's going to go terribly wrong if you do that. So by all means, continue to experiment beyond the scope of this video. But anyway, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to keep moving on here. So I'm going to press J down to get to the lesson 1.5. So here we have text editing, appending. So press A to append text. So step 1 is move the cursor to the first line marked below with the arrow. Doesn't matter on which character the cursor is in that line, so you can move it anywhere in that line with the arrow. Step 2 is press A and type in the necessary additions. Step 3, as the text has been appended, press escape to return to normal mode. Step 4, move the cursor to the second line marked with the arrow and repeat steps 2 to 3 to correct the sentence. Okay, let's just start with the first arrow here. And again, I can be anywhere in this line. Oops, so let me go back down to the line. I can be anywhere in this line here. It doesn't matter. If I press A, Shift A, capital A, that'll take me to the end of it, and it will also put me into insert mode. So here I can start typing, and that will, I don't need to press I to enter insert mode. It does that automatically when I press Shift A. So let's complete this sentence here. So this line, period. So I'm going to do that, press escape, that gets me back into normal mode. So let's go to the next arrow down here, so 2 lines down. And again, I can be anywhere in this line here with the arrow. Sorry, I keep moving up and down. I can be anywhere in that line. If I hit Shift A, then it takes me to the last part of that and puts me into insert mode. And then if I start typing missing here, escape, that will complete the sentence and then put me back into normal mode. So when you're comfortable appending text, let's move on to listen 1.6. So let's move down using the J key. Okay, so listen 1.6, editing a file. So use :WQ to save a file and exit. So again, there's a note here that says that before executing any of these steps, read the entire listen. This is just because if you perform part of the listen part way, then you need the other part of the listen to know how to proceed. So let's make sure we have it all internal before we do that. So step 1, exit this tutor as you did in lesson 1.2 using :Q!! Or if you have access to another terminal, do the following there. Well, let's just do the first sentence. Let's just exit and then we'll continue from there. Step 2, at the shell prompt, type this command, VimTutor, enter. Vim is the command to start the Vim editor. Tutor is the name of the file you wish to edit. Use a file that may be changed. Step 3 is insert and delete text as you learned in the previous lesson. 4 is save the file with changes and exit Vim with WQ. If you have quit VimTutor in step 1, restart VimTutor, move down to the following summary. After reading the above steps and understanding it, do that. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to exit out of here, say VimTutor, Vim space tutor. It's so VimTutor, one word, actually opens up the program VimTutor. Vim space tutor says, okay, Vim, open up a text file or some file named tutor, and then just start typing in there. So we're going to do that. We're going to exit out of this, say Vim space tutor to create a file called tutor, write some text, save it, quit, and then come back here. So let's do that. So I'm going to say :quit. And actually what I'm going to do here is, because I've made some edits, I'm actually going to say WQ, which is going to write the file, save the file, and quit. So I'll do that. So now I'm back in the terminal and I'm going to say Vim space tutor. And this is an empty file because we haven't had any files called tutor in this directory, so there's nothing here. So it says go ahead and enter in some text. So I'm going to get into insert mode by pressing I, and then just this is some text here. And then I'm going to press escape to go back into normal mode, hit shift semicolon write Q. So it's kind of a mnemonic, right? So W for write, Q for quit. Probably should have mentioned that earlier. And then I'm just going to do that. So if I type in ls, there's a new file called tutor. And if I say cat tutor, I'll see that the contents of the tutor file this is some text, what we just wrote. So properly save the file. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the VimTutor YouTube text file that we've been editing. So I'm going to go back up here, open that file, and then I'm going to hit J until we get down to, I believe it was listen 1.6 was the one that we were on, and we just did that one, so we're going to move on to the summary. Okay, so listen 1 summary. So number 1 is the cursor is moved using either the arrow keys, again, frowned upon, you can use the arrow keys if you wish, or the HJKL keys, which is preferable because they're close to the home row. So to start Vim from the shell prompt, type Vim and then the file name. We just saw that in the previous lesson. Step 3, to exit Vim, type escape, which gets you into normal mode, :Q!! Enter. That gets rid of all the changes that you made, and it also quits out of the program, quits out of the file that you're editing. Or you can type in the same thing, escape, to get you back into normal mode, :WQ, which writes the file and quits. 4, to delete a character at the cursor, type X. So remember we saw that here, so we could hover over any one of these things, and if we type X, that will delete the contents of that. By the way, if I just hit U, that's undo. We'll see that eventually as well. So I'm just undoing what I just did there with the cursor. And then step 5, to insert or append text, type I at the place where you want to insert after or before the place insert before the cursor, and then A if you want to append after the line. So again, if you want to insert text here, let's say I want to insert between the X and the T, I would put the cursor on the X, I would hit I, and I would start typing. So that gives me, sorry, I should have said right before the X. I would hit I, start typing, press escape, get back to normal mode. And likewise, if I want to append, I can hit Shift A, that gets me all the way to the end, puts me into insert mode automatically, and I can start typing there. So I'll press escape and undo both of those things that I just did. So note, pressing escape will place you in normal mode or will cancel an unwanted or partially completed command. So generally, if you're kind of moving around and you hit a couple keys that you don't exactly know what you did, you can press escape a couple times just to get you back into normal mode. So that way, at least you have some semblance of like, okay, I'm back into something I kind of understand. So just, if you're a little confused at getting into some other mode, like insert mode or visual mode, which we'll see later, you can hit escape and that will take you back to normal mode. All right, so that's the end of lesson 1 and just getting started in VimTutor. So in subsequent videos, we're going to continue on with the remaining lessons, and I'll see you in the next video for lesson 2. Thanks again for watching. Have a good day.